You have just received a friend request from God on Facebook. Do you decline, accept, or ignore? I was originally going to be doing my speech on creation versus evolution, trying to convince you that creation and God are real. But then I thought, why don't I try and do it in an easier way for you to understand? Through the sense of your relationship with God being like a friend request, relating it to sin, suffering, purpose, and my experience. Many people argue the fact whether God is real or not, but how can you prove he isn't? Most of you will be thinking, well, Ebony, you can't prove it either. All you have is your faith. Yes, I have my faith. I also have my experiences. In 2012, studies showed that 31.5% of the world's population is Christian, which means there must be some truth in God. God is working daily in everyone's lives, but some people choose to just shut him out. Just like getting a friend request. You've heard of him, but you don't want to get to know him. A big reason for this is if something has happened in a person's life that is bad, and they feel like if God was really there for them, he wouldn't let it happen. The biggest reason for suffering is sin. People sinning either causes suffering upon themselves or to the people around them. Just like the mass shooting in Colorado, June 20th, 2012. People were at the movies watching the Batman movie when James Holmes, who was dressed up, stood up during the movie and shot 70 people, 12 of which were killed. What was the reason for that? There are so many stories like this, such as the story in the Bible where Cain murdered his brother Abel because God accepted Abel's sacrifice and not his own. The first thing you need to know is God is not the creator of evil and suffering. There are two types of evil in this world. Moral evil, which is the suffering that happens because of people choosing to be selfish. For example, people are dying all over the world of hunger, and we ask why. Why is this happening? It all comes down to the fact that people are selfish and greedy. The world actually produces enough food for everyone to have 3,000 calories a day. The second kind of evil is natural evil. Things like earthquakes, tsunamis, wildfires, etc. God uses our suffering to get our attention. He wants our trust, and he does that by putting us in upsetting or hard situations, because he wants us to have the right response towards them. Suffering makes us turn from trust in our own resources to trust in God's resources. People will decline God's friend request because they don't know who he is, so they don't feel like it will matter if they just decline it. So many people don't come to know who God is for many different reasons, but the truth is, no one can really have an excuse to not come to know God at some point in their life. In Romans 1:19-20, it says how he is shown to everyone, but some things aren't as easily noticed as others. God has a purpose for all of you. As cliche as it sounds, everyone is here for a reason. God didn't just create us, he designed us. Our different personalities, looks, the way we think, act, all play a part in God's purpose for you. But without knowing him, we don't really have a hope of living life to the fullest, but only a future of death. We need God in our lives like a baby needs their mother. Whenever we discover God for real, we find a reason for why we're alive. It doesn't matter how old you are, your purpose is for now. But sometimes the devil tries to fill our mind with things like, oh, you're too young, come back later. And whether you know God or not, you'll come to find that the devil tries to trick you so you don't turn or trust in God. The purpose for God in our lives is not just for a better lifestyle, it's for a better world. The purpose he has for you will be in the place where your gladness and the world's hunger meet. Occupation and purpose are two completely different things. Occupation is something you're paid for, your purpose is something you're made for. Everyone has a purpose. You just have to know God and ask him to help you find it. Then there are the people who accept God's friend request. They know him and want to get to know him better. For me, it was a lot easier to find out about God. My first day at church was the day after I was born, and I've gone ever since. But I never really thought I had to do anything else to be a Christian because I knew who God was. A quote I know says, "Going to church doesn't make you a Christian any more than going to McDonald's makes you a cheeseburger." This was a wake-up call. I knew who God was, but I didn't have my own personal relationship with him. I was lucky enough to find that relationship with God on Easter camp this year. I felt his presence, and I knew this year would be a good one. I came back with a craving to know God more, and then I decided to make the decision to get baptised. Since my church is a Baptist church, we believe when you're born you get dedicated, which is when you're brought into the church family and your parents agree to bring you up in a loving environment surrounded with the knowledge and love of God. When you're older and actually have your own relationship with God, you can choose to get baptised, which is saying you want to follow him for the rest of your life, start living in his way, and to publicly declare your faith. I was at a Rise not long ago, and their pastor was talking about purpose, and he said he felt like God would talk to some people. And then I had a vision. All I saw were children in poverty, and I realised I've always wanted to be a kindergarten teacher, so maybe God's purpose for me is being a missionary, teaching people about God and helping children in orphanages or poverty. And then we got told about the Costa Rica trip, and I knew it was the perfect trip for me. I don't want to force anything on anyone, that's not why I'm here today. I'm here to let everyone know how good God is and how he's the person you want to put all your trust and faith into. I can definitely tell you when I started following God, my life changed for the best. So I now have a challenge for everyone in this room. If you've come here today declining God's friend request, well, I hope you have an insight into who God is, and I hope you'll go away wanting to know more about him. Pick up a Bible and have a read. If you're currently ignoring God and his request, I want you to try and put your faith in him, to not blame him for whatever has happened in your life, and for the people in this room that know God. I want you to ask God what your purpose is. Find out what God asks of you and do it. It says in the Bible, he wants us to tell people about him and who he is. So this week, I challenge you to tell someone about God, because you can potentially change their lives. I hope you all go away from here feeling like you know who God is a bit better and wanting to follow him and find your purpose.